There's a hill in Kwale County, ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't look like much from the outside. About 390 acres of forest, some sacred shrines, endangered trees. But underneath it, $62 billion. That's not a typo. And right now, the Americans want it, the Chinese want it, the Australians want it, and Kenya has a decision to make. If you're getting any value, kindly do also hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you the numbers because they matter. Mrima Hill sits on an estimated 6.4 million tons of niobium and 53.6 million tons of rare earth elements. Now, if you're wondering why that matters, niobium is what makes steel stronger without making it heavier. Rare earths are what power your phone, your electric car, your missile guidance systems. These are not decorative minerals. These are the minerals that determine who builds the 21st century. Now here's where it gets really interesting. China currently dominates the rare earth supply chain. They control roughly 60% of global production and over 85% of processing. But in 2025, Beijing dropped 2 waves of export restrictions, April and October. Suddenly, the West had a problem, and suddenly, a forest on Kenya's coast became someone's solution. But guess what happened, ladies and gentlemen? The Americans did not waste time. June 2025, interim US Ambassador Mark Dillard visits Mrima Hill in person. Shortly after, Washington and Nairobi reach a preliminary deal, access to the deposit. And it's not just the Americans, ladies and gentlemen. An Australian consortium, Rare X and Iluka Resources, announced a competing bid. Chinese nationals attempted to visit the site and were turned away by community guards. Let that sink in. A forest guarded by local Digo villagers is now being circled by 3 of the most powerful industrial blocks on earth. Kenya has gone from a mining afterthought to the center of a geopolitical tug-of-war. The question is the country ready for what comes next? Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we have to be honest. Kenya's track record in mining is not exactly inspiring. In 2013, the government revoked Kotek Mining's license for Mrima Hill, citing environmental irregularities. Kotek alleged they were asked for a bribe and refused. In 2019, Kenya froze all new mining licenses entirely over corruption concerns. Mining currently contributes less than 1% of GDP. Less than 1%. But here's the gamble. The Ruto administration has announced what they called bold reforms, tax breaks, investment allowances of up to 150%, a target of moving mining from 0.8% to 10% of GDP by 2030. They opened a global tender in April 2026. Critical metals core is now in the final round. The deal is moving. The logic is clear. Kenya sits on 40 million tons of rare earth bearing ore. If the world needs these minerals and you have them, why not cash in? But ladies and gentlemen, there is a gap between what has been promised and what has been delivered, and that gap is currently being argued in a Nairobi courtroom. Because in June 2026, the Center for Litigation Trust sued the Kenyan government over this deal. The accusation, secrecy. The specific contract and framework details are shrouded in secrecy, remain opaque and vague to the public. That's a direct quote from the court filing. The High Court gave the government 14 days to respond. The last hearing was on July 21st. And then there are the people of Mrima Hill, the Digo, 5 villages whose forest is not just a mineral deposit, it is their shrines, their medicinal plants, their livelihood. Mohammed Rico, a 64-year-old community leader, put it plainly, this Mrima is our life. where will we be taken? Juma Koja, a community guard, said something that hit me when I read it. In my heart, I am crying. This Mrima has endangered species that we are losing. And ladies and gentlemen, he said that before mining even begun, before a single shovel has touched the ground. The giant orchid tree, a species unique to this forest, is already disappearing. But here's where it gets complicated, because Domitila Moeni, another community member and treasurer of the Mrima Hill Association, asked a question that has no easy answer. Why should we die poor while we have minerals? Ladies and gentlemen, that is the tension at the heart of this story. You cannot tell a community sitting on $62 billion to stay poor, and you cannot pretend that extractive industries on the African continent have a history of leaving communities better than they found them. The old order is not just being challenged. Kenya is being asked to write a new one entirely. Whether it can do that, whether the institutions are strong enough, whether the 0.8% to 10% dream survives contact with reality, this is the billion-dollar question, literally. What do you think about this? Can Kenya pull this off without repeating the mistakes of every resource-rich nation that came before? Do let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Representing A2 is Flo. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.